I was thinking about this the other day, and I came up with this analogy as to, or this comparison as to how I think men actually operate in the world versus how men think they are, how they think they move in the world. I think most men believe that they are like a hero, right? I've heard a lot of men, speak about themselves through the lens of being a hero, I would say, as if they're like going out here like saving people and helping people and things of that nature, rescuing cats from trees and stuff like that, right? Walking old ladies across the street. But those very same men, when you talk to them about protection, they'll say stuff like, it's not my job to protect some stranger. I need to just protect my family. I got to make it home at night. Like they start talking like police officers, right? I always find that weird because that's not the only form of protection, physical protection. But when we talk about protection, that's typically what most people go to, is like the physical protection of other people. But even in their scenario, they wouldn't be considered the hero, right? Then they usually follow that up with something like, how can you protect what you can't control? Once again, that doesn't sound much like a hero to me. But the way that I view men, most men, I should say, the way that I see most men when it comes to this topic, specifically when it comes to this issue, I view most men like the raiders or the scavengers in the book of Eli. If you guys ever go back and watch the book of Eli, or if you have seen it and you can remember the scavengers had that woman tied up, and she was like bait, and Eli walked up to her, started talking to her, and then the scavengers popped out from behind all those things or whatever, and a fight ensued, whatever, right? I think most men are the scavengers because that's their form of protection. Like if a man is going to protect you, you have to be like that woman that was left out as bait. You have to do everything that man says, and if you don't, he's not going to protect you. But also, very similarly to that woman, that man and those men can't protect the women. They can't, especially from other men. Like most of the time, there's nothing that they can do. And if Eli wanted to harm that woman, he easily could have, but he didn't. He didn't want to harm the woman. He just wanted to pass through. Also, in that very same movie, you can compare your everyday average man to Gary Oldman's character in the movie, which was the guy who ran the town, right? Same approach. They were the same. Both of those groups of men had the same exact approach. Gary Oldman just was more successful. He built a whole town, but it was the same thing. If you went against him, you didn't have his protection, and he would harm you. And that's not real protection, because in that movie, once again, the majority of the time, the man who is going to harm the women are going to be the men closest to the women. The men who harmed the woman on the side of the road were the very men that were protecting her. The men who harmed Mila Kunis in the movie were the men that were protecting her and her mother, or whatever the case may be. Those were the men. Those were the abusers, not Eli. But sadly, most men think that they are Eli. That's the problem. We're not. We're not Eli. We're Gary Oldman. We are Gary Oldman. We don't think women deserve our protection unless they allow us complete and total access and obedience. If they don't do any of those things, then we're more likely to harm them than anybody else.